Good day, guys, and welcome to this tutorial. And in this tutorial, I want to teach you about how you can create automated tests using um, supertest and jest.io. Now, I created uh, a quiz app or a quiz application. Right, it is at API quiz API jurj.unrender.com. And if you want the code to this quiz app, you can just head over to um, VIC um, VICTUK. That's github.com/VICTUK/quiz API. Here you can get the full API code, right? So basically, this quiz app just allows users to register, to view questions for quiz, and to answer questions for quiz. So register, login, view question, answer questions, while admins can add questions to quiz. Right. So this is the endpoint. This is the endpoint for registration. Right. This is the endpoint for logging in. If we go to our app.js, you find out that we have if we scroll close to the bottom, we have registered the route for authentication, route for admins, route for users, and then shared routes. Right, but um what I would want to test is I want to give different test case scenarios for authentication, that's login, register, and then viewing a single question. Right, so let's dive into everything to it. First, I would copy this URL, then I would come to Postman. Of course, I have you can create a workspace, or a collection, right? Or your teams, you can create a team. Um, so the first thing you want to do is create a collection. You can call this register collection or register. Um, or you can call this auth collection, auth, right? And then this auth, you have register. um we want to test now the full URL to the register feature is v1/auth/register. Of course, it's a post request. So if we come back here, we find out that register accepts full name, email, and password. So we'll do that. We'll say full name, email, password. So full name is Victor Cock, email is cockjunior plus 200 at gmail.com. Password is Victor Cock 25. Now, this is the valid um, um, inputs when registering. So if you do that, if we send that request, right, we should see that the user is created. Of course, I would call this register, right? And then I would save this response as um, um, registering with complete with valid user details. Right, registering with valid user details, that shows created. So if we try registering maybe without a first name, we send it, we see full name cannot be empty, so we would save that as test with uh, empty full name, right? So I could call this test, test with valid data, then this would be test with empty full name. Then I think next scenario I would want to bend would be sending an invalid email. So let's try that. Um, email must be valid. So test with invalid email, right? Then um, let me try with a very short name, maybe Vic. Send that. Um, so I'll save this with test with very short name. Right. Test with very short name. So we have all these endpoints already, or we have this, let's just say these scenarios. I know that these are not like all the scenarios that can play out, but then we need to start writing the automated tests to see how we can do this automatically. So what we would do now is we would come here, maybe to your desktop or wherever you want, create a new folder. I could call this quiz test. I'll call it quiz test. So in this quiz test, what we'll be doing is, okay, we open it with VS Code course. So that's being opened with VS Code. Just waiting for it to initialize. Then the next thing we would do is would initialize an npm project. So we say npm init, and I don't want to answer I just want to answer yes to every question npm init would ask me. So that's why I put the dash y there. So running that would create a package.json file for me, which I can use to manage the project. Right. So while that is going on, I could create a folder named hot underscore test, right? Then inside on hot underscore tests, we'll have a file named register. Of course, register.test.js, which is where we are going to write our test cases, or automated tests for registration. So the first thing you want to do is you want to say const request should be equals to require super test. Okay, we don't have super test, so we'll have to npm install super test. Now super test is what you're going to use to send the requests um to the API or to backend and get the response. Now you also need jest. Now jest is a test suite by Facebook that you can use to test your app. So npm installs super test and jest. So while that is installing, we can start doing some things. So we say describe describe. So test um cases for user registration get. So this describe is trying to describe or talk about the different um, um, cases, right, we are going to address inside this particular test um, suite. So this will be like a test suite, and then you have your test cases inside here, right? So you can say test test register user um or tests. Yeah, I could say register user with valid um valid credentials. So I didn't go through the explaining the code right to you guys. So I guess I should just take a little bit of time to do that. So registration, right? Registration accepts full name, email, and password, and it checks if the full name is a string. It checks if the full name is empty. It checks if the full name has a minimum of 5 characters. And this required is just to make sure that, yeah, it's not empty, and it's that um, if you didn't send um, the full name uh, property, right, at all, it will tell you that full name is required. But if you send the full name and the value of full name is an empty string, then it will now tell you string the full name must be must cannot be empty, sorry. Or the email, right? Email can must be a string, cannot be empty, must be a valid email address, and then email is required, right? What I'm using for this is Joi. So it's a tool you can use for form validation or object validation, anyone. Right. So I'm accepting .com and .net as my top level domain for emails. And password must be 8 characters long and must be alphanumeric. Right. So those are the different uh, validations required. So let's come back to this point. Let me hide this. So I want to test this scenario. So I'll say const response should be equals to await requests. So requests super test. So I would say requests now. I think I should say async here so that I won't get much complaints anymore. Okay, so I didn't spell request properly. So I'll say request, and here is where you pass in the link. I think I should just be on Postman only. So I'll copy this, you pass the link there, and then you now start doing your whole settings. So you can say dot post. Remember, is a post request we are sending. We are sending the post request to /view1 /auth/register. We want to send username and password, abi full name, email, and password, sorry. So you say dot send. Send is going to accept an object where this full name. Full name could be Victor Ukok. There could be an email. Email could be Ukok Junior plus 202 at gmail.com. Password could be Victor Ukok 25. So if you don't set the so if you want to set things like content type, authorization, you'd rather than say dot set, and then you say maybe content type, then it will be a comma, and you say application /JSON. But by default, if you don't set it, it would have a content type of application/JSON, especially when you're using .send. So I think I have to remove that. So we've done the first one, to register with um, valid credentials. Of course, you want to test what you're getting back. So you'd say, expect we are expecting something to be something, because that's the essence of testing. You're expecting response.status to be 201. You're also expecting this to be that. You're expecting response.body.message to be created. Remember that when we send a valid request, we get a message of created. So uh that would be created. Now there's something I would want to do. Instead of always writing the email, because the emails would change, I would say const email should be equals to uh the value of this email. Then of course I'll just name that email. So we have Victor Corp, we are using this email, which is this particular email, and then that's the password. Of course. So I'll just copy this and paste again, because I want to make things faster. So I want to register with an invalid email. Tests to register user with invalid email. Okay, so here I would say that the email should be Luke Junior plus 1234. I'm expecting a 400. Remember that here, uh, okay, with an invalid email address, we received a 400, and then the response here was the email must be a valid email address. I think it should have been must be a valid email address rather. But anyways, we've done that. So I want to also test where when I'm registering and the full name is empty. So I would say the email and where full name is empty. So anytime I write email like this, right, it's going to refer to this email I put here at the top. So in case this email changes, I know that everywhere I'm using this email, the change will also affect it. Right. Then, of course, um register user with invalid email. Beautiful. Mm, register user with empty full name. So this one should give a response of full name cannot be empty. Right. Paste that. Then let me register with very short name. So register with very short full name. So call this maybe Vic. So we already know that very short name is, it will tell you full name must be at least 5 characters long. So we'll just paste that here. So now we have some test cases, right? When we are registering a user with a valid email and valid credentials, when we are trying to register a user with an invalid email, when we are trying to register a user with an empty full name, right, but a valid email and a valid password, of course. I think I should add one more test case scenario, right? Registering a user with an invalid password. So you have um I think this should come first before trying to register the user that has the complete stuff, right? So with invalid password. So you have your this is complete, but you don't have any digits in your password, and the password is required that the password has to be alphanumeric. So of course, let me try to create that scenario here. I think even if we keep this in the at the bottom, it will still work well, because we are checking for the form before we even check if that particular user exists. Right. So um let me come here, Victor Cup. Then I'd say Victor Cup that way. So let's see. We have a 400. We already know that it is this point that we have to consider. So, guys, while this is taking a little bit of time is because um render powers down after some few minutes if you don't make any requests to it. Okay, it powers down. So yeah, okay, it's saying user already exists. Um, let me see if it will register this user. Okay, so I think I'm not checking for um alphanumeric passwords, or um that's test isn't working fine. So we see that maybe testing for alphanumeric, right, is not actually working. Let's just have one test case scenario that doesn't go through well. Okay, I think we should just have maybe the one for short passwords. I think this yeah, password must be 8 characters long, right? So let me just use that. So password must be at least 8 characters long. So I guess that's it for registration. So now, how do you run your test case, right? How do you run it? You come to your package.json. Um, in this place called scripts is where you can set up your test. So you'd say, what I like doing is anything that has to do with test, I'll call it tests, then colon the kind of test. So some people might say register underscore test, or anyhow you want to name it. So then what I would then do is I would call this I would say jest dot slash hot underscore test forward slash register dot test dot js. So what I've done here is I've saying, instead of me typing this full thing, maybe write npm just this, I can just write npm test register and it would run this command for me automatically. So I'll press Ctrl and my back tick button to bring back my hidden terminal, right? Or you can come here, terminal, maybe I don't know, new terminal. Although I don't want to create a new terminal, I still want to use this one. So yeah, now what do I have to do? First clear, then I'll write npm run test colon register. So before running this, I want to be sure that the server is active. So let me just send this request first to, okay, yeah, the server is active. Beautiful. So let's come back here and let's run. Sorry, I put a backslash by mistake. So I'm trying to crash the, yeah, uh yeah, so clear. So I yeah, I want to, so clear. Sorry about that, guys. I put a backslash by mistake. So npm run test register. um let's see. Yeah. So let me increase this for you guys. So we are waiting, moment of truth, moment of truth, moment of truth. Let's see. um Running the test suits. They are running. Beautiful. So you see, um we've been able to test for all this at once without needing to like test one by one. We see that all this passed, right? If we included that the test should check for invalid password or passwords that are not alphanumeric, and we put it here, that test would have failed, right? Because the alphanumeric test isn't really working out like that. So let's do the same for login. So we have register. I'll create a new file, call it login.test.js. I'll do the same thing I did for the other file. I'll say request should be equals to require uh super test, and we would first. So I didn't even go through what was shown here. Sorry about that. Now, first you would see your test cases, right? Test case for registration. Um, Although I am not sure about why this showed twice. So registering with invalid credential, registering with invalid email, registering with invalid full name. Then it showed test case for registration again, and the same thing, but um it tested some things twice. Okay, so register with very short full name, it showed twice. Um so I'm not sure why it's showing twice. Let me check my code. So yeah. So going through it, I don't really know why it's showing twice. Can't tell, at least for now. So in order to save time, I'll just copy one of these. Right. I'll come here. Um I'll describe what I'm doing. So I'll say um scenarios for login tests. Then here I would say um so one thing I like doing is I like starting with the expected scenario, login with valid credentials. Of course, the email doesn't exist there, so I should copy this email and still use it because that's a valid credential, right? Login with valid credential. Then what I like doing is I could say let auth token equals to an empty string, um this is to save the auth token when I'm logged in. Of course, logging in doesn't accept full name, just email and password. So let's try logging in on Postman. So I'll do I'll add a request. I'll call that request login. Um, I guess I could just copy all this. Come here to login, paste it, change this to a post request. Call this login. Uh, then here we should accept an email and a password. Uh, what was the email? Sorry, guys. Um, that's the email for Axios, for Postman. Sorry, what was the password? Uh, Victor Hookup 25. I remember. Victor Hookup 25. Um, let me send that request and see. Okay. What is he saying? Incorrect password. Why is the password incorrect? So let's see. Victor Hookup 25. So let me check that again. Okay, so let me try registering with a new email. VICT 1234 or 2345. Victor 2345. I could call this 205. So let me see if Victor 2345. Let me see if this is truly not working well. Um Victor 2345. Okay, cool. So this works. This works. So what are we getting at the end of the day? I think I should just say this response. So I'd say um logging in with um with valid user details. So we do that, then let me try logging in with an invalid email. So try that. Yeah, so email must be a valid address. Um uh Test logging in with invalid email address. So test logging in with invalid email address. You see? Um then let me try empty email, and let me see the response. Email cannot be empty. So of course, um test logging in with empty email address, right? So this should give email cannot be empty. Let me try logging in with a valid email but invalid password, or with empty password rather. Yeah, password cannot be empty. So test logging in with empty password, right? Then let me try with very short password. So instead of with the 2345, I said my password should be at least 8 characters long. So yeah, my password must be 8 characters long. So I can add that test logging in with very short password, or password less than 8 characters. Or yeah, I think with password less than 8 characters long. Yeah, so um let's do this on post on our test, right? So yeah, Victor Okoc 25. So I said I would start with the well known scenarios, or the um scenarios that will pass. So we have 200, right? That should give us a 200. Let's come back here. So this should give us a 200. um User details. So I want to test the user details. Let me hide this. Sorry. Hide now. So full name, email, and role. Right? You can say that you expect that the response dot body dot user details dot full name should be Victor Ukok. You can say the email should be the email, which is the one up there. Should be the email, which is going to point to this particular email we used for registration. um the role should be user. um then you can now, since this token is always going to change per time you're logging in, you want to check that the token should be truthy. That's it should, or it should be truthy and should be a type of string. So you can say token to be truthy. So that means the token should have a value, right? You can also do something like this. You can say that the type of this token, the type of the token should be string. Okay. Yeah, so we've done that with login with that for that scenario. So which other scenario do we have with invalid email? So with invalid email, of course we need to create an invalid email here. So it's a Victor plus 205. um this should give us a 400, right? A 400. Should give us a 400 with the message email address must be a valid whatever. Okay, so this doesn't apply here anymore. So I'll paste that there and remove all these other ones. So we have that. Just copy this. Now don't forget, it is login we are testing. Okay, is login. Maybe I'd say login and view quiz. You get why? I'll call it login and view quiz. So yeah, so login with um with empty with I think with empty email, with empty email. So I'll remove this. um it tells me that email cannot be empty. Email cannot be empty. So copy this, I'll paste it there. So email cannot be empty. Of course, if I try registering with a valid email, so remember that the valid email is up there, and no password. Let's say empty password, right? It should tell me that password cannot be empty, right? So there are scenarios you can just send only email without sending password and see what it could show you. I could even try out that scenario also, but we might not be able to cover all scenarios in this case, right? So doing that, um, with so the next scenario is logging in with very short password. So basically you can just be copying these headers and be using here, right? So maybe say logging in with password less than 8 characters, of course. um just come here, copy that, paste here. Of course, I would like to try where I send a username but without password. Please, let me so let me try that scenario, right? Yeah, password is required. So if we try um logging in without password field, without logging in without password field should so I'll delete the password field. I'll just send only email. It says password is required. So yeah, so password is required, right? um you can try other scenarios. Maybe try logging in with, or try maybe registering with an account that exists already and the rest. Now remember that we have auth token and we need to use it, and remember that they've given us token here. Bagam, bagam, bagam. So let me try viewing let me try viewing a quiz. Okay, so I should create a new request here. Add request to view quiz. So view quiz. So I think the route for that would be, um let me check it on um Postman again, because I can't really remember. I think it is forward slash users forward slash quiz. So this would be forward slash users, then in users, forward slash quiz, then question number, and forward slash quiz forward slash there's only one quiz, which is the quiz with the question, with that number one. So verify auth. Let me be sure how I'm doing my verification. Okay, so it has to be a bearer token. Yeah, it has to be a bearer token. So um when logging in with correct user details, you get this token. Copy this token. I don't want to set it as a global or environment variable. I just want to use it once here. So I'll say authorization bearer token, paste the token there, sender requests. Yeah, so we have our question here. What's the full meaning of WHO? And of course, you can decide to test answering a question and the rest, right? Um, so let's come back to this point. So when we log in a user with valid credentials, what we'll do is auth token should be equals to response.body.token. Um, guys, programming is half copy and paste. Anyways, so I want to test that particular suit. So I'd say, or that's yeah, that particular scenario. So I'd say describe quiz test for users. So I think I should just type this one. So test um view a quiz view a quiz with the quiz number of 1. So we say const response should be equals to requests. Should be equals to await requests. Of course, the request is to that route. Then dot get is a get request. We are getting um forward slash v1 forward slash users forward slash quiz forward slash 1. um we are not sending anything to the back end, so we are not going to put dot send or dot set or all those things. So we are expected to get um we're expected to get um response dot body dot quiz dot question. So the question should be, what is the full meaning of WHO? Okay, so we are also expecting that the question number for this quiz should be 1. That the question number for that quiz should be 1. You can decide to check all other scenarios. Check that option A is equals to this, check that option B is equals to this, option C and option D. But I wouldn't want to do all that, right? So um let's configure our Axios and run this test case. So I'll say test login login um and quiz. So this would be just just to dot slash auth tests. I don't want to waste too much time, so I'll just copy that auth test forward slash that view quiz login and view quiz dot test dot js. So moment of truth again. Why is this thing printing more than once? Before it's wow. Basically, so let me use git bash instead. I don't know why PowerShell is doing that. So I'd save this and I'd say n. So let's wait for this to initialize. Anyways, I miss Linux. I used to use Linux though, Zorin OS to be precise. Um, I don't know why this is actually taking time. Maybe I should run back to PowerShell. So I would say npm run, copy that. On Windows, you paste by right clicking. So npm run test login and quiz. So before running that test, let me come back here and make sure that everything is well. All is well. Yeah, okay, so the server is still up. So let's come back here. There's something I think I didn't do well here. I didn't check uh I didn't check the status code, that the status that the response dot status should be 200. Yeah, so done deal. Let's come back here and let's run that. So let's see. Hmm. So it's running the tests. Hmm. Okay, so one failed, giving back a response of okay, two actually failed. So you see, um, this is a clear example of uh, your test case failing and how you can resolve it. And I like that it failed, so we can resolve it together. So scenario for logging in with password less than 8 characters long. It's supposed to it I was supposed to use password must be at least 8 characters long, but I don't know why I now wrote password must be empty. So I am saying that I'm expecting that it should tell me password cannot be empty. But meanwhile, what I received from backend was password must be 8 characters long. So you know what to do. Right here also, here we are getting a 500. I think it's supposed to be a 409. I'm sorry, a 401 unauthorized. Yes. So but the reason we are getting this is we did not set the auth token. Remember that we had an auth token we were supposed to send. We didn't set the auth token. That's why we are getting that. So let's correct this first. So let's look at password cannot be empty, right? The radio will disturb me. The radio will disturb me. Anyways, so um we call this uh let's check password must be at least 8 characters long. So let's see in which particular test scenario do we have that logging with password less than 8 characters. So let's check. Okay, so this is it. So let's check our Postman. Try test logging in with 8 characters, password that is less than 8 characters. So this is what we got, and this is what I was supposed to check for, right? So put that there. Then the next one is while sending while trying to view a quiz, we should set that authorization. So let me check. Is it Yeah, it's authorization we're using. So author what's that? So authorization, sorry guys, I copied that. Authorization should be um bearer and token is what auth token. Yeah, so should be bearer and auth token, and then um clear, should clear that, and we should try running the test again. Right. So running the test case, by the grace of God, everything should pass. Right. Everything should pass. So I'm waiting for everything to pass. Everything should pass. Oh, okay. So what is it saying? Oh, so okay, okay, okay. I get why this is going that way. I'm supposed to use get before set, not set before get. So request dot get at this point before you set the authorization to the bearer token. Sorry about that. So let's try again. So clear um npm run test quiz and login and quiz, and let's see how everything goes. Um so we are testing. Let's see. So beautiful. All the tests pass. Now, there are some few things I would want to say, right? Now, be careful about how you use, like for example, this registration. If I run this registration again, it's going to fail because it's going to fail for this registering with valid credentials because this email already exists. So it's not going to give a created and a 201. It's going to give a 409, and maybe email already exists, right? So anytime you're going to use this, right, there are two things you can do. First is either you come and change the emails manually every time you want to register or you want to test this scenario, right? So that you always have unique users, and you can always use an alias so that you don't run out of emails to test. That's one. Two, you can set up um um a pre um or should I say a pre code runner, something like that. I don't know what it's being called. So you can say before all. So now this before all is mainly used if you have access to, let's say you're given the access to the database. Maybe let's say your company gives you the URL to the database. Maybe the database is running on MongoDB. You can then try to connect to MongoDB. Maybe you say MongoDB dot connect. You connect to MongoDB plus srv forward slash the link to the MongoDB. Then, so you're saying before all, you want to say maybe users dot or something like users dot delete many, maybe on your test this thing. Maybe you so setting up this before all, before any of these test runs, it will delete. Let's say this is just like an example, right? I'm just trying to paint that scenario. So before it runs any test case, it will delete all the users, right? And of course, this should be done on staging, or let's say on a test environment, right? Rather than a production environment. It should be done on, it should be a special environment that is given to you as a tester, that, oh, okay, you can delete, you can always delete all the users, maybe delete, for example, maybe delete all the quiz also, maybe you can say maybe quiz dot delete many, you delete all the quiz, or maybe you delete the specific quiz that you don't want to be on that database, right, before running these ones, so that at the end of the day, right, you if you have something set up like this, before all, you should delete all the quiz, delete all the users, then you might not need to come to manually exchange change your email from time to time. You just run the test case, run this file, and before running the test cases, you should just delete all that is necessary. That's kind of preparing the environment before doing it. So we have before all, there's before all, there's before each, there's after all, there's after each. So all these are, if you head over to jest.io, you should see them, right? Before all, after all, uh before each, and after each. Yeah. So you can go to jest.io and read more about it. So, and that's the much I can take for this particular tutorial, right? So, all our test scenarios have passed. We had 7 test cases, one test suit. Was it really one test suit? Okay, yeah, one test suit, right? Yeah. So viewing quiz for user passed. Then test for users also passed. So I have no idea why it's showing twice. I don't know if, let me try running this same code on git bash. Let me see if it is going to give me the same problem. Okay, so basically I don't know what's the problem. um I guess let me just try it here to see if it's going to show well, if it's going to format well, right? So let me test, let's see. Please run, please run, please run. um it's taking a lot of time. Let's just wait. um yeah, running. Yeah, so this looks better, right? This looks better. So now, anytime you have an API to test, right, for features, for testing features, you can always use this setup to do your automated testing for any language, right? Whatever language is being used to write the API, you can always set this up and use it to test the API. All right, so thank you for listening. I think it formats well here, right? It's showing well here rather than how it showed on PowerShell. Showing well here. Thank you very much for staying till this time, and bye.